will be able to produce 30 million jobs in the next 8 years, and we will do it.
It could be done, but it's not going to be done with Bush because, you know, he's had his chance and he's blown it.
All we want is jobs back. Not to be taken from us, but given back. Give us a piece of the pie.
Millions of American workers out of work, families hurting. And what does George Bush do? He vetoes the emergency unemployment benefits extension.
Far better than doing something bad to this economy is doing nothing at all.
We've never known this kind of situation in our country since the Depression.
Bush almost put all of us in the poorhouse.
And allowed the money to go overseas, the businesses to go overseas, and the workers to look for jobs.
Wealthy corporations exporting American jobs, not American ingenuity. Abandoning their workers. Unfair foreign competition robbing American jobs. And George Bush does nothing to stop them.
Read my lips. No new taxes.
Bush has lied. And I think he's lied from the beginning.
Taxes are going up, but my check is not.
12 years of Republican rule, and the rich have gotten richer, while working middle-class American families are squeezed in a vice of falling wages and rising costs. And what does George Bush do? When Congress passes the Family Medical Leave Act that would have allowed working men and women to take unpaid leave to care for a child or parent, he vetoes the bill.
I want a kinder and gentler nation.
I don't feel well, but I'm working. And I work because I owe bills. And I can't eat and can't make it unless I do work.
I think it's a shame that other countries who are less fortunate than we are have comprehensive and universal access to health care, and this country does not.
37 million Americans with no health insurance at all. Medical costs skyrocket. And George Bush does nothing. Union workers forced to strike to protect their families, and George Bush supports the permanent replacement of striking workers. Not since the Depression have so many Americans felt so desperate. Have our working families felt more out of control of their own lives? And for the first time in our history, parents no longer believe that their children will have better lives than their own.
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's time for a change. It's time for us to send George Bush and Dan Quayle a message so strong and clear that even behind these closed windows they will hear our voices and feel our concern for the future. The current administration can never understand our lives, or our struggles, or our hopes and dreams for our children. For years, they have tried to divide us. They don't believe we have the solidarity to fight back, or the will to make our voice heard throughout the nation. They are wrong. Union men and women were there at the Democratic National Convention, helping to shape the campaign to win back the White House.
Working Americans yearn for the type of leadership that brings out the best in them and does not inflict the worst upon them. They want a government that is on their side, one that fights to rebuild this country's economic strength and provides fair opportunities and equal justice for all.
We can't afford to hesitate and let George Bush get the White House for another 4 years. We need a Democrat in the White House to put this country back on track.
There is a sense of excitement, of anticipation, but also of determination that this is the year of our issues, the issues the AFL-CIO has championed. Jobs in the economy, fair trade, national health care reform, workers' rights, and workplace fairness. This is the year our issues will provide the foundation for a new Democratic team to stand on.
In the name of all those who do the work, pay the taxes, raise the kids, and play by the rules, In the name of the hard-working Americans who make up our forgotten middle class, I proudly accept your nomination for President of the United States.
A new generation to begin a new era. But will they be able to break the Republican hold on the White House? Will they restore our confidence and lift up the spirit of Americans everywhere, as they have in the convention hall? America is waiting for new leadership, a new vision of the future. Just like a down-to-earth Democratic president, Harry Truman took his campaign on the road directly to the people. A candidate for president was meeting America, eye to eye and face to face. America was moved by what it saw and what it heard.
10 million people are out of work in America, and my heart goes out to them. But 7 times that many are also working harder and falling behind. Every year, incomes down, taxes up, more for health care, housing, and education. Meanwhile, the government thinks the only thing they're supposed to do is to lower taxes on the wealthy and get out of the way.
This is an opportunity to get the change that we're all hoping for and to turn this country around so that we can have a profitable country that supports working people.
Bill Clinton understands the need for jobs and a strong economy.
We're competing with other countries where jobs are growing more rapidly, where incomes are growing much more rapidly, for the simple reason that they put people first. They're continuously educating and training people for a lifetime, and they're investing in their jobs and opportunities to make change work for them, not against them. The biggest explosion of poverty in America today is among working poor people. The working poor. And I am here to tell you that I got into this race for president because I did not want my daughter to grow up to be part of the first generation of Americans to do worse than her parents. We owe it to the children of America and to our own economy to establish the linkages necessary between the public school system and the vocational and community college network and the employer community to have a world-class apprenticeship system that restores the dignity to blue-collar work in this country. We've got to do that. And for those who do want to go on to college, I say we ought to open the doors of college education to everybody. We ought to make access to college universal.
What do we want? Health care.
Bill Clinton sees that health care is one of America's most important priorities.
The government is going to have to address it. I think Bill Clinton will. He said he would. I believe he's going to be president.
You're never going to rebuild the manufacturing base of America, never, until we get control of health care costs and provide a basic system of affordable health care to every American. Never. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen.
Bill Clinton stands for workers and their right to strike.
The way to solve strikes is not to permanently replace workers. If people have a right to strike, they shouldn't lose their jobs for exercising. And we cannot protect that right until there's a change in the presidency.
You got my vote. A lot of these other guys, we're behind you.
Bill Clinton wants American jobs to remain in our country.
This is crazy. You can't get a tax credit for buying a new piece of equipment in America, but if you shut your plant down here and move it overseas, you can get all kinds of deductions for the cost of shutting the plant down. You can take the losses in the early years off your income tax, and then when you start to make money, as long as you leave the money down there, you don't have to pay 1 red cent in taxes to the American government. I say more incentives to invest here, no incentives to move overseas.
We don't want just free trade, we want fair trade. We don't want just unemployment insurance, we want employment. Those are the kind of issues that Clinton's going to address in a way that George Bush and his predecessor never did.
Throughout this country, from the farms and small towns to the cities and the suburbs, Americans are feeling their hopes lifted again, as they did with Franklin Roosevelt and Harry Truman, and with a young leader of a new generation, John F. Kennedy. Leaders who knew then, as Bill Clinton does today, that victory in November depends on the support and the hard work of the men and women of America's trade unions. Governor Clinton.
Let me tell you up front some things you can expect from a Clinton administration. In our administration, it will simply be unacceptable for employers to undercut the collective bargaining process by permanently replacing workers who exercise their legal right to strike. As president, I'll propose legislation creating a national health care plan to provide affordable health care to all Americans. I'll enforce the prevailing wage protections provided in the Davis-Bacon Act and will oppose any effort to weaken them. I'll do my best to guarantee that mothers and fathers have the right to take some time off when a baby's born or a parent is sick without losing their jobs. I'll fight to make sure federal employees and postal workers no longer are second-class citizens by signing Hatch Act reform legislation. I'll enforce strong job safety protections and make sure Americans don't have to risk their lives to earn their livelihoods. I'll put people first for a change. The solidarity of American workers has shown that there is no greater power than when we stand united. And with your help, America will win again and be won again.
Now it is up to us, the working men and women of the unions of the AFL, CIO, and their families. The wealthy and the privileged have had their presidents. And maybe they really believe they own the White House, but they don't. It is our house and our government, and we must take it back. The union makes us strong, and working men and women make this country strong. The time is now to elect Bill Clinton president. This is our year. This is our victory.